Today, let's talk about something in this episode that is it's really easy for us to preach. If you're a pastor, ministry leader, this is easy to talk about publicly, but it is hard to practice personally. Today, in this episode, let's talk about gratitude. Gratitude feels really easy when ministry is good, when you feel like you're winning. Right? But when the pressure's on, when the weight gets heavy, when things don't seem to be going your way, when God doesn't seem to be blessing you, but yet He's blessing the church down the street, gratitude just doesn't flow naturally at all. For me, this is very personal. I left Woodstock City Church. I was a lead pastor for 13 years. Some of you have heard me talk about this, but I left 13 years ago, and I had an incredible time there as lead pastor. I loved every minute of it, from the beginning when it was a revitalization to growing to becoming a campus with North Point Ministries. And the whole thing was just incredible. So 4 years ago when I left, I knew it was going to be hard to attend, Woodstock City. But at the same time, we felt like we kind of were a part, and we didn't do it. God did it, right? But we had a front row seat in the lead role in helping watch it go from almost dying to thriving. And that was, it was an amazing journey. And so the thought of not being around it anymore, not participating was hard, but the thought of participating as an attender, as a volunteer, that was also just very weird. So it took a lot of time. We went a handful of times, but we waited 3-4 months to go back because I wanted Sammer, the new lead pastor, to have plenty of space. And we talked a lot about it. He and I are good friends, and we tried to do it strategically. So I didn't show up for a while because I just didn't want to make it awkward. I did show up eventually, and it was not great. I just felt like I wanted to crawl out of my skin. I couldn't get out of that place fast enough, to be honest. And that feeling didn't really go away for a long time. We visited other churches, actually found a church that we loved attending. It's actually called Home Church, Roswell. And a guy named Gerald Fatagami leads it. You should look it up. Gerald is an amazing pastor, preacher. He's just an amazing person. Great family, great church that he's building. It's new. It's kind of raw. It's amazing. But it's also in Roswell, which means nothing to a lot of you. But I live in Northwest Atlanta. This is about 25 minutes away from us, which isn't that far. But their focus is the community of Roswell, and we are in the city community of Woodstock. And so I love Roswell, but it's just not my community. And so the thought of engaging in a different community when mine was sitting here, I don't know, it just was hard. So we decided that wasn't going to work, which left us kind of churchless for a bit. We didn't know what to do. And then one day, I'm at a coffee shop on a Thursday morning. My wife was with me. I think my two youngest children happened to be around, and we're with. And it's 10:30 on a Thursday. We were having coffee together. One of my friends, a guy I know, walked up to me, and this is in our community downtown Woodstock. Walks up and says, "How's the business going? How's the coaching and church consulting and all of this going?" This is probably let's say March. I think it was about March probably of 2025. And I started complaining a little bit, and for good reason. My client portfolio wasn't as full as I wanted it to be. I felt like I was doing some good work, but I knew that I wasn't hitting on all cylinders quite yet. I just wasn't, I don't know. It was frustrating. And the guy said, and I'll never forget it, he said, "Well, it can't be that bad. You're having coffee with your wife and two of your kids on a Thursday at 10:30. And he just kind of walked away. And I looked at my wife and I said, I'm gonna need to process that a little bit. Because here I was, not being grateful, right? I was just being frustrated. I was being irritated. I was discontent, And he was right. It wasn't all that bad. I wasn't in meetings. I wasn't doing things I didn't want to do. I was very, very lucky, very blessed. And I thought I should probably be more grateful. It was so crazy. A couple of hours later, the church that I led, Woodstock City Church, we live a 10th of a mile from it. It's just right down the street. And so I drove down the road and passed by the church. And for the first time in probably 3.5 years since I left, and I can say this now without any hesitancy, for the first time I drove by it and I felt nothing but gratitude. Because as great as that season was, it was a season that God placed me in. And then God called me out of, and then God called me to something different. And I absolutely love what I'm doing now. I mean, I love it. I love working with all the pastors I work with. I've become such good, close friends with all these people. I love their churches. When I hear stories of life change at these churches that I work with, it fills me with gratitude. And I mean, it's emotional to hear some of the things that God is doing in some of these churches. And I'm a small part of it. So it's not like it's my deal. It's not my deal at all. And I just love it. And I looked at that building, that Woodstock City Church building, and I thought, that was not the pinnacle. It was just a step that God provided to get me to the step I'm in now. And the step I'm in now, I actually really like. I like more than what I was doing as a lead pastor at Woodstock City. I feel like I'm better fit for it. It's a better role for me. And I got to tell you, that moment, it was a moment of gratitude. It changed everything. I came home that day, told my wife, I think we can go to Woodstock City and have a good time and actually enjoy it. And she was feeling some of the same things that I had been feeling. And I explained to her about that gratitude moment and just the perspective, really, that shifted. And it helped us both so much. We've been back so many times since then. Now, I do travel a lot, so I'm not home a lot of weekends because I'm preaching on the weekend at other churches and doing consulting over weekends and, into the beginning of a week. And so I'm not home, for a lot of weekends. But whenever we are, we go to Woodstock City Church. And I don't feel weird. I don't feel like I want to climb out of my skin and get out of there. I love it. I actually thoroughly enjoy it. And it is only because of one thing. A new perspective of gratitude. That's the only thing that happened that changed it. So let me get back to you for a minute. If you're a pastor, you're in ministry leadership of any kind, like when attendance drops, when, giving dips or your team starts to feel, weary, gratitude is hard to find. And it can feel hollow, like you're faking it. You don't even really mean it. You're saying it because you're supposed to, but it doesn't feel like you mean it, right? At least to you. And it is tempting to assume that something's wrong when those numbers are going the wrong way and when that emotion in your heart kind of goes the wrong way. That maybe, you are off course, or worse, that God has gone quiet. But here's what I have learned, okay, through my own experiences and, now for over 4 years of coaching pastors and consulting with churches and working with leaders. I've learned that hard ground doesn't mean bad ground. Okay, just because the ground feels hard doesn't mean that there's something wrong with it. Okay, God, when things are challenging, He's not punishing you. In almost every case, I think I can say He's probably preparing you. And while that might sound nice, like on a Sunday morning, it is brutally hard to live out on a Tuesday afternoon, right? When that pressure, especially ministry, feels just so visceral, so real. I mean, pressure really can make us reactive, right? Instead of reflective. Pressure pushes us to hustle harder instead of to trust deeper, to be more dependent. And then before you know it, right, we have confused God's pruning for punishment, and we are off not in a pity party, but we are definitely not seeing it the way God sees it. So here's the truth that I have learned personally, and that I see so many other people learning too, that gratitude really does grow best in the grind. I mean, gratitude grows deeper, it grows stronger in the midst of the hard, of the challenge, of the grind. You know this. This is James in chapter 1, James 1, he wrote this, right? Consider it pure joy whenever you face trials of many kinds. You have taught this countless times, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance. You don't need perseverance when the ground is soft or fertile. You need perseverance when things are hard, when it's challenging. And when James wrote that, he wasn't just trying to be poetic. It's not fluff, right? I mean, it's a leadership principle. That God doesn't use ease to develop endurance. He uses pressure, and He uses things like pruning. And I mean, just like in John 15, right? Even fruitful branches need to be cut back because pruning creates capacity for better and more fruit later. So if you are in a hard season, and if you're not, we just know how life will be. At some point, we're going to find ourselves there. So whether it's coming at some point for you, or maybe you're in it right now, right? I'm going to give you, and this is going to be quick, but just 4 intentional ways that you can let gratitude take root even when the ground feels challenging. Here's the first one. And again, I talked a lot about this. You start with perspective. Just ask, what might God be forming in me through this? That one question, what is God trying to do through this in me, can change your perspective. And perspective shifts your pain from kind of why me to what now? What's next? What's God up to? So look at your perspective on the soil. Number two, just name what's still good. I mean, I talked about this in my job. I looked at Woodstock City and would attend and felt just awful until my perspective changes and I started naming the good. I named how great what I'm doing now is. And if it weren't for the 13 years at Woodstock City, there's no way I could be doing what I'm doing now. I mean, all that learning, all that experience, all that exposure to church revitalization and mega church and multi-site church and mega with North Point Ministries and the leadership team, right? I mean, all of that was really pruning for me to get me ready to do what I'm doing now. So you got to name it, right? Gratitude grows through attention. And so when everything feels kind of uncertain, when there's challenges or hard soil, look for the small kind of steady signs of God's faithfulness and then call it out, right? Name it. Number three, speak it out loud. Speak your thanks. Gratitude gains power when it is expressed. Like, don't just feel thankful. Talk about it, pray about it, write it down, because words shape your heart, right? And they can reframe your soul. When I had that gratitude moment at Woodstock City, I bet I told 20 people within a week, partially because it just was so life-giving to me. I could not talk about it. But the more I talked about it, the more it kind of anchored itself in my heart. And then the fourth one is you got to trust what's ahead. The ground isn't hard forever. The same God who kind of brought you here, he is not finished with what he is doing in you, through you, around you yet. So when gratitude becomes like a reflex in the hardship that you face, you stop interpreting pressure as failure and you actually start seeing it more as formation. So if you're leading under pressure today, here's kind of your next step. Just don't rush to get out of the grind. Don't pray that God will remove it or change the circumstance. Instead, just look down kind of beneath the surface of that soil and see if you can find what God's doing. I bet he's doing something in you. He may be preparing to do something through you. Roots, when they stretch deeper, get stronger. And dependence is how those roots in our heart can get deeper. And gratitude is how you almost begin watering what's been planted. If you're kind of leading through a season right now that's challenging and you need more clarity, you need more confidence, I'd love for you to consider joining me on this journey of church ministry and leadership. I offer almost every month ministry strategy sessions. These are just free 1-hour experiences where we pick a topic and dive deep into it. You have to register for it. So just go to gavinadams.com and you'll see under the Insights ministry strategy sessions. I do leadership labs that are more deep dives and also have a limited number though, but of strategic partnerships with pastors just like you, where we're helping figure out how to maximize your potential so we can maximize God's mission for you, but also in the things that you lead.